Hey everybody, this is Tracy Cornelius, and I thought I would do a little bit of I suppose a pre-video. If you like, this would be my video diary at the start of a transition onto a Nutritarian diet, basically whole food, plant-based diet. So here are the reasons why. So intuitively, I have known that I've really needed to change the way that I eat for quite a long period of time. And I suppose even maybe going up to about a year ago, there was this intuitive part of me that kept thinking that I really should go vegetarian. And there was also another aspect of me that knew that whatever was in my diet was making me suffer. So I don't exactly know the date, but I did take an intolerance test. I mean, we're talking like months and months and months ago. It might even be close to a year-ish, which kind of begs the question as to why I haven't done something before. Whole different other story. So anyway, in this intolerance test, I discovered that I am gluten. I'm intolerant. I'm also intolerant to a lot of things that are in dairy products, as well as a host of other parts. So here are the things that I seem to be suffering from on a regular basis. First of all, probably first thing in the morning is probably the time where I recognize a lot of the symptoms, and they seem to be the most profound. So firstly, I kind of feel like I can't do this with my fingers, almost like I shouldn't be able to. They feel very swollen, very, very stiff. My joints hurt, my knees hurt, my ankles hurt. I'm also extremely tired, almost like I haven't slept. So even if I've had what I would consider a really good night's sleep, and I do have 5 children, 4 of them at this time are between the ages of 6 and 2. So there are times obviously where I wake up and I may be woken by them. But even through that, or even if they haven't woken up, I just genuinely wake up as though I haven't slept at all. So I'm so crazily tired, which over time makes me very emotional. If I walk down the stairs, my knees, they don't just like crack, they almost like creak. I'm also extremely stiff, like my knees in particular are extremely stiff in the mornings. Now let's put this into perspective. I am overweight. There is no denying that, and I'm not denying that either. I need to lose roughly, I think probably around about 5 stone in weight. That's quite a considerable amount, a huge amount in fact. But I also feel like it's not just the weight, it's what I'm consuming, and whatever I'm doing is not making me feel great. Now, I had done a lot of research, probably quite a lot over, different periods of time of looking at different types of diet that I could do. I looked at the virgin diet, I looked at paleo diets, I've looked at the keto diet, all of those type of things. And I could agree and felt like part of that was like, yeah, actually that seems like a really good thing. But it wasn't until I came across the whole food plant-based diet, so like the Nutritarian diet, that when I really did the research into that, it literally spoke to the core of me. I instantly knew that actually that was 100% what I wanted to change into, and there was no resilience. And that's where I am right now. So I've already started to purge a kitchen, clear out the kitchen. Now, that's a little bit easier at this time. So this morning, my children left to go on holiday, and I've stayed behind to work. So they've gone off with Mark, their dad, the 4 little ones. My eldest is cat sitting for someone else. So actually this week is a very good time to be able to clear out the old and then start to bring in the new. I say it's a transition time because even for me, there are a few things that I will probably eat over the next maybe 2 days that wouldn't be whole food, plant-based. But I'm literally not going to be throwing every single thing out of my kitchen right away. It will be this week that is a transition into that. A few things that I'm really hoping that I can look forward to is feeling as though I have a lot more energy. Definitely hoping that the inflammation that I tend to feel will dissipate. The bloating, which can be extremely uncomfortable, I'm also hoping will go. I also feel like well, I'm getting arthritis in my fingers, so it would be nice to think that that could start to reverse and progress, if that makes sense. My eldest daughter gets eczema, so I'm interested to find out if that alleviates for her. My 3-year-old really suffers from bloating a lot. In fact, I've had the thought process that really needed to check what was happening for her, because it does make her really uncomfortable. She complains a lot about having stomach problems, stomach aches, that type of thing, and it's just unpleasant. And being very little, she can't always tell me exactly what it happens to be, so it'd be interesting to see if that makes a difference. I already know 100% that sugar makes a big difference to my children. They can be very calm, collected, play really nicely, all of those type of things. They can have something that has any kind of sugar base to it, and in the words of my 5-year-old, who is the one that tends to react the most, she says to me that if she's had something that's got sugar, it makes her feel and that's pretty much reflected in her personality, because she would be like the the ping pong machines where it goes ping 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 ping. That's Grace when she's had sugar. she's just mad and wild and cannot control anything, and then people think, oh, you've got very unruly children, whereas actually no, I don't. I actually have quite delightful children that are very loving, very sweet, very kind, beautiful children, but certain foods do tend to make them react, I suppose, and feel like they're out of control as to what's happening for them. So I'm interested to see what happens for them on that as well. It is going to be a big change, a huge change. There'll be a lot more preparation that's needed. There's also going to probably be a lot more time in the kitchen. To a certain extent, I'm looking forward to that. To a certain extent, I also feel that there's a little bit of trepidation. The trepidation for that is time, and that can be the biggest excuse probably for most people. But with the amount of children that we have working from home, all of those type of things, it does put a lot of pressure. So that will come down to organisation, strategizing, that type of thing. I think that the health benefits will far outweigh that. I also feel that there is a lot of tension within our household, and that's also because we're just so tired and very emotional. And I think that that comes part from what we're fueling our bodies with, and then running on empty and still trying to put everything in. So it'll be interesting. These are some of the resources that I have looked at, just in case you're interested. So I did go and research after seeing a number of different articles about the forks over knives. So I did watch that. That was on Netflix. There is another one that I've written down today. Fat, Sick and Nearly Dead. I haven't seen that. I will look that up and see if I can find that. But Dr. Ferrum, his book seems to be very good, and a number of other kind of resources. I have actually got a lot of my information with regards to recipes and that type of thing so far from YouTube. So we will see how that goes ahead. I've also downloaded maybe 1 or 2 books to my Kindle. So again, we'll see how that goes. There's going to be quite a lot of challenges. The challenges, not just within our family dynamic, but actually very much outside of it. I think that's probably going to be our biggest challenge. It's actually having the acceptance from other people that we have decided to change from the norm that people expect as far as dietary requirements are concerned. Probably going to have quite a lot of resistance from other people or some members of the family more than others. I'm fully expecting that. That's fine. That's whatever issue they personally have on things that change out of the norm. So I'm fully prepared that already I'm going to need to really if my children go and visit people, is that I will actually need to prepare their meals and everything else beforehand, and they will need to take them with them. I'll also need to help educate my children in the respect of not eating certain foods or saying no thank you, and helping them to regulate that. Now, to be honest, I've already started doing that, especially with my 5-year-old Grace. I've already had that education and said to her, you know, only you're aware of what happens to you internally when you eat certain foods. We're aware of what's happening to you externally, but you're going to know how that helps you to feel, or how that makes you feel, and whether you're able to control that and what have you. So actually that's an education that she's already been going through in particular. And she actually has already got to the stage where she will say no to certain foods because she doesn't like the way it makes her feel. She likes the food, she wants sugar, she wants sweets, she wants chocolate, she wants all of those type of things, but she's not enjoying how it makes her feel afterwards. So that's very in tune, I think, for a 5-year-old, and that's quite hard to already go, you know, I've recognized that and I'd rather not feel like that, so I'm stopping, thanks very much. When other people are going, oh, go on, you know, like, we know how hard that can be as an adult, but for a 5-year-old, I take my hat off to her because I'm so proud of her for recognizing it doesn't make her feel great, and she stands her ground and says, no thanks very much. But I do believe that there'll be further education probably needed in that, and a lot more preparation on my part if she goes to other places. I believe that there will be other people, friends and family members, that will respect our decision, and so that won't be so much of an issue. Probably other things that I would need to take into consideration, because I know this a little bit from trialing a few things beforehand, is always taking your own milk, your plant-based milk. I have no issue drinking black coffee, that type of thing. And to be honest, our children predominantly drink water. We also drink a lot of water, but if you do want to go somewhere else and you want tea or coffee, I can't drink tea without milk, then we would need to take our own milk with us. So I think that that's something I've also, probably one of the other aspects, again, I'm already prepared for, is that there'll be a lot more food preparation to take with us when we go to visit places. I remember when I did try out the Virgin diet, which eliminates 7 different food groups, I took a zoo visit and I thought, oh, that's fine, because I'll probably be able to pick up a salad there. And I was wrong. In fact, there was not one item that I could buy in the restaurant if you were gluten and dairy intolerant. Fine if you were just gluten, fine if you were just dairy, but if you had a combination of the two, there was not one item I could buy. I couldn't even buy an apple. That's so bad. So I'm again fully prepared at the fact that there's going to be a lot of preparation in making sure that if we do visit places, that we are making our own food beforehand and taking it with us. And to be fair, that's good. I think the less processed foods we have, the better. Now, let me give you a little bit of an example as to how our diet has been. This is probably the most shocking part, and I wish to a certain extent I'd like maybe taken photos of our food that was in our house like weeks ago throughout this, but I didn't, because I didn't know that I was going to be changing it right now. So especially much more on Mark's side than on my side, as in children's dad, more than my side. The children will have lots of crisps, biscuits. Biscuits is like Mark's like nemesis. He can literally eat a pack of biscuits in minutes. And his go-to with the children is to give them a biscuit, is to give them a biscuit, is to give them a biscuit. I actually tend to be a little bit more carrot sticks, cucumber, and maybe fruit, because actually my children absolutely adore cucumber and they adore carrots and they really like hummus. So that's another part that I'm looking forward to on the whole food plant-based, because I already know that they love that. So lunchtimes will be great for that, and we'll be making it from scratch, so even better, because there is no oil on this particular change of diet as well. So there's also a lot of pizzas, that just get bunged in the oven because they're quick and easy to cook with very little preparation. Chips, they probably eat a lot of chips, and although you can have potatoes, I will be switching much more to sweet potatoes just because of the nutritional benefits of those. They always like things like spaghetti bolognese and that type of thing. And one of the other concerns that I've had is recently they just constantly tell me that they're always hungry. Now, they could be always hungry because maybe the nutritional value is so low that it's genuinely not filling them up. But I also think that they've got into a pattern as well of thinking that they enjoy certain foods, so they don't want to eat that because they would rather eat this. And that's our fault. You know, that's something that we've encouraged, I guess, in them, and that actually I find quite heartbreaking, because I believe that we are at such a young age installing such bad food patterns into our children, and that has got to stop. Also one of the reasons why I'm making this change. So that's for me being brutally honest as to the beginning part of why I'm changing, and also where we've come from and what's happened, not just from my health benefits, but also from our children's. For Mark's, Mark is also overweight. He's been suffering from gout. He is just over 30, so, you know, like, shouldn't really be having that. He has been experiencing kidney issues. He will often have heart pains. He does have a heart issue that he had when he was much younger, that had surgery for it, and I can't remember the exact term for it. I think it's called CTV, cardiovascular trachea, ventricle, I don't know, something like that. Basically, it's a little valve or a little muscle before the valve, and it kind of flaps and makes your heart rate beat too fast at times and stop and then beat really fast again. So he does have that anyway. But the other pains that he's been having, I believe, are because of poor diet and being overwhelmed, lack of exercise, etc., etc., etc. So there's those parts for him as well. So my next part, really, maybe I'll take some photos, is purging the kitchen and passing on a lot of the ingredients that we've had to someone else who could find them useful, because I don't want to throw them all out. I don't want it to be a complete waste, but they're not going to be part of ours. And making the transition and the change and constantly doing some research, finding out recipes, so that we can move to a much healthier lifestyle, and one that is also more intuitively aligned. Because I think you do know when your health is suffering. You might try to ignore it, but I genuinely think your body knows. And I think mine is crying out for that change. So thanks for listening.